So on Amira and Miss Tan, for taking your precious time to present to us some of the interesting topics, right, on the palm oil industries. So in terms of this SDG goal, right, I think palm oil play a very important role here, okay? So the new invention, new process, especially towards the greens and also sustainable development is very important to our palm oil industry, right? Especially in Malaysia, because our economy is actually mainly contributed by palm oil industries. So with this team led by Dr. Sylvia, I think Sime Darby is in a good hands, right? Okay. And without further ado, so I'd like to welcome all of you to this webinars. Before that, I want to introduce a bit about ICAP, Institut Kimia Malaysia. I see that some of these participants here are new, okay, maybe are not chemists. ICAP is a professional body for chemists. So those are register or become a member automatically become a registered chemist. And then they are also a professional body that govern the code of practice for chemistry in Malaysia. So we have about 5,000 members at this moment. So one of these division is my divisions, division on green and environmental chemistries. So if you are interested, right, to know more about IKM, you may visit our website, www.ikm.org.my. So without further ado, so I'm going to pass back to our chairperson or moderator, Dr. Lee. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Johns, for this energetic welcoming remarks. Okay, without further delays, now I would like to, before we are starting the first sharing talk by Sylvia Kong, we would like to have this photography section first. Okay, so yeah, everyone, all our beloved participants, you are welcome to turn on your camera. So we will have a camera, photo sections right now. Okay, Dr. Chi, can you help to screenshot?
Sure.
Okay. So yeah, 1, 2, 3. Okay. How many slide? How many participants we have? Yeah, we welcome all the participants to turn on the camera. Okay.
At the moment we have 23.
33. So, but the screen only show 9 of us. 10 of us, right? So, anyone else who would like to turn on the camera, please? The more, the better.
Allow me to have a few print screenshot.
Okay. So 1, 2, 3, smile.
1.
Okay.
On.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So thank you very much. So yeah, okay, we will have our first sharing talk by our speaker, keynote speaker, Dr. Sylvia Kong San. Okay, from Sime Darby Plantations, Research Sendirian Berhad. So let me introduce Dr. Sylvia. She's obtained her PhD degree in the research fields of green chemistries and catalysis from National Polytechnic Institute of Toulouse, France. She previously worked in oleochemical industries and mainly involved in catalysis and specialties ester product development. Currently, Dr. Sylvia joined Innovation Center Asia, part of a global product innovations and development team of Sime Darby Oils. Her current focus is to develop new and improved oils and fats products based on the market trends, working on products commercializations and provide technical support to customers, refineries and China region. She has published more than 22 publications and she's also a chartered member in ICANN as well as a full member in Mostar. Okay, so right now I'm honored to invite Dr. Sylvia to share on her topics about these technological innovations for sustainable palm oil industry. The stage is yours, Dr. Sylvia, please.
Thank you, Dr. Lee, for very good introductions to me. Okay, good morning to you all. So allow me to off my video and I will share my screen.
Dr. Sylvia, is it okay?
Yeah, is sharing is in the progress.
Okay, maybe the line connections, right, having some issue.
Have you
Okay, we
seen
will wait
it?
you. Uh, yeah, I
Have
think
you?
yes, yes. Okay, it's clear.
It's clear. Hi, good morning, everyone, and thank you for all the participants to join us to know about palm oil and palm oil industry in today. So thank you for your time. So I'm Sylvia. If you have any questions, you can mark down, and we will share our sharings during the Q&A sections. So this is my presentation sharing for today. We touch about the business of palm oil and what is the palm oil industry in Malaysia and the processing generally and also the market by sectors. So let's go to have a insight on the business overview on palm oil. So if you see the graph is normally you can find in the market lists. So on your left, you can see there is a vegetable oil demands and supply versus populations. And on the right, you can see this is the global palm oil productions and supply. So let me brief you generally what happened in from 2019 and to recent years. In 2019 and 2020, the palm oil price is low. It's about 2,000 plus for the price of crude palm oil. It is showing a decrease in demand, where palm oil is known as inelastic commodity. However, when close to 2021, the demand is the demand to palm oil is relatively silent. It's bounced back. For 2021, the palm oil price is increased and bounced back because of two reasons. One is the Indonesia's downward revision of export levies with in the middle of July, and also for the India. India has lifted up the restrictions on the import of refined palm oil. So this is mainly give a very significant effect as because of the effective of import duty from decrease from 50 to 13% from palm oils, and CPO decreased from 35 to 8%. So it's really decreased a lot, and it's good for business for Malaysia or Indonesia export to India. And come to the recent year, like end of 2021 and 2022. And what happens in war in Ukraine is depress the demand and disrupt supply because Ukraine is the main supplier of the sunflower oil. So the demands of the global palm oil is increased because everyone is looking for alternative to sunflower oil or soft oil or canola oil. So this is the reason behind why the palm oil price is increased. It's about more than 10,000 for the palm kernel for the olive fat. So let's look back on the left. So if beyond on this, if because of if let's say one day if the war is stopped and the pandemic is end, look back on what will happen. So from the left side, it's indicate that the population grows over the years, and same goes to demands of the vegetable oil is increased. So it shows that the key populations of growth is the factor to increase the supplies of the vegetable oil. So from here, since the palm oil is counted almost contributed about 30%, 1/3 of the total vegetable oil demand. So we will see that the growth and effect of the palm oil will strongly affect the global vegetable oil productions. Now I will show you the exact one. From the previous one, we say palm oil is very important as it's contributed almost 37% of the global vegetable oil productions. From here, you can see that if you add up palm oil and palm kernel oil, if you add up and total up with about 280 million ton, we will see that the palm oil actually is contributed about 37% of the global vegetable oil productions. So what is the palm oil role? This is very important. So that overcoming the projected global shortage and to balance the supply against the demand of the oil and fat will be discussed in our presentations. However, when there is a reduced expansion of palm oil plantation in the recent year because the shortage leading to the high price, and it will affect the consumer globally, not only locally but globally. And the producer country like Malaysia and Indonesia must find a way to increase the palm oil production sustainably, as it's not itself sustainable if consumer does not have the correct access to the food oil. And next, we would like to emphasize that oil palm is a sustainable crop. Why we say that palm oil by far is the most efficient and sustainable oil crops. Why say so? Look at your left from here. The oil yield per hectare is almost 4 times than the seed oil, soft oil. It means that the usage of the land is lesser but producing more oil by palm. So depending on other oils such as soybean oil and rapeseed and sunflower oils, it will require about 5 to 10 times more new land to cultivate such as crop with no deforestations as a conditions for a future expansions. That's why we can say that oil palm is the most suitable crop to the plants with minimal conversations of degraded forests. And beside that, palm oil has been confirmed as supply of about 37% of the global productions of the total vegetable oil. So palm oil and palm kernel oil. So from the graph on your right, it can show that the palm oil is a very sufficient crop. And for the palm oil is harvested every 10 days and it has about 40 kg of oil. It can produce, a palm tree can produce 40 kg of oil every year. So it's a very important industry in Malaysia. It contribute a very good GDP in Malaysia. So now I would like to give you the insight of the total producers and importer of the oil palm. This is globally. And oil palm tree grow in equator regions. And for as we mentioned, Indonesia and Malaysia are responsible for producing about 86% of the world palm oil. And the leader is Indonesia, followed by Malaysia. In Asia or APEC, China and India are the main importer of oil palm, and followed by Europe. This can be shown by the data here. Malaysia export by destinations. The biggest consumers is our oil palm is feed to China and India, followed by Europe. So go for here, so that we can, from the previous slide, I hope that you can get the insight what actually palm oil industry is. And every industry has its challenges and bottleneck. Generally, labor shortage and the price volatility are the major concerns for us. Especially is further burden oil palm industry during pandemic time for the labor shortage. So how the energy innovations can be used to transform our industry to address the future challenges? For example, we will show you about for what Sime are doing. We have mechanizations, automations, and digitalization initiative. For instance, you can see the photo here. We have Tron and technology and AI technology to detect the growing of oil palm. And this is for mechanizations to reduce the labor depending in harvesting. Besides that, we have started with a higher palm oil making. Making is less and less land incentive. So it will producing more with less to stop the deforestation. Is we call it a genome select. I will further explain to you in the next slide, because this is a very good initiative from our company, because from this initiative we demonstrated increase 15% year without expanding any land. Besides that, one of our promise to our customer is the traceability. For our palm oil industry, in order for us to meet the challenge, we have a lot of certificates like RSPOs and also ISCC and so on, in order to ensure our customer has a sustainable crops and also sustainable source. So from here, we can show that Sime is 100% RSPO certificates. It's 100% in Malaysia, Indonesia, and also our branch in Solomon Islands. And it's also like 100% MSPO and ISPO certified. For genome select, which I have picked just now, if you are not clear from this is for global average. For one, we can produce about 3.4 metric tons based on the normal practice. For the RSPO producers, we can increase the yield to 5.1 metric tons per hectare land. And by using genome select is a technology that we improve and we modify the DNA of the seeds and yield, we can obtain about 9.9 metric tons. So from the total plant, oil palm planted areas, we can say that the year is eventually will be double by applying the technology. So let's go to the palm oil Malaysia at a glance. As we know, we are the second largest producer and exporter of palm oil in worldwide from Malaysia. The leader is Indonesia, and we contributed 10% of world's oil and fat productions, and about 5.8 million hectares of lands in Malaysia, and is one of the top 10 largest export earner for Malaysia in the last decades. It's 600,000 of people employed directly. And in 2017, we saw the celebrations of commercial of oil plant planting. Now I will show you the overview of palm oil supply and distributions and major industry player in Malaysia. For example, Wilma, KLKs, Sime Darby Plantations, and KLK, Kuala Lumpur Kepong, and also Genting Plantations. Each of the company has a different strategy and different business models, but mainly we are the major palm oil supply and distributions. So what are the business for the downstreams? It can be produced in food, for example, cooking oil, margarine, chocolates, potato chips, and bakery product, and ice cream. And for non-food, for example, like body shampoo, candle, lipstick, and lubricant oil, and so on. And my colleagues, one Amira, will touch more on the food applications, and my colleagues, Ms. Tan, will talk more about the non-food applications. So from now you can see is that really we can go for palm oil free. It's not really right. It's not really realistic because to claim, because more than half of the products on sale in supermarket are made with palm oil. Now I will show you the general processing, palm oil processing in a very general way, in a brief way. So here is the start of your journey. So I believe every one of us have seen the real palm oil plantation. This is the palm oil, and this is the FFP, fresh fruit palms, and this is the fruit mesocap and menocap from the FFP. And here is the starting of the journey. For oil plant plantations, if with 20 to 25, right? 20 to 25 years lifespans. And from fresh fruit palm, it will have FFP and palm kernel and palm mesocap. So for FFP, it will transport to the palm oil mill for further processing. And then after that, it will separated into the kernel, and from the kernel, the one content in the shell will further processing in the palm kernel crushing plants. And for the mesocap, it will extract in the palm oil it will extract in the crude CPO and send for palm oil refinery, and further for produce to specialty fat producer or for non-food biodiesel or others. And this is the one we mentioned in the palm oil refinery, palm oil mill. So what happens in palm oil mill? Palm oil mill will extract the crude oil and as a product. From here, you can see the fresh fruit palm will. This is all the process in the palm oil mill. We send to sterilizations in order to stop the FFA increase, and then there is a separations and also the air clarifier in order to separate the oil, and then centrifuge and to get the CPO, crude palm oil. Here the end product is crude palm oil, and another product is to separate the seed inside and then to produce as a palm kernel seed. So after that, the crude palm oil produced from the palm oil mill will further process sent to the refinery for further process, either done by physical refining or chemical refining. So for the crude palm oil, it will go for the degumming, bleachings, and deodorizations in order to produce for the RBDPO. And for the chemical refining, there is a chemical refining. The chemical will be used like caustic soda for neutralizations in order to produce for the neutralized palm oil. The meant after that the product will be SAMs, but however the treatments is different. So for the refined RBDPO, this is the generals how we going to produce in different shapes of the palm oil dedicated for different applications. So typical fractionation process can be achieved by thermomechanical means from palm oil. During fractionations, it can be separated to the hard fat and the soft fat. For this is olein. For soft oil, it can be further to frac in order to get different fats for different applications. And other applications like oleochemicals. For the palm oleochemicals is normally will get the palm stearin, CPO, RBDPO as their crude feedstock. And from there, there will be a process like splitting, like hydrolysis process, in order to split the oil into fatty acid and glycerol. So the main product for oil chemicals is a fatty acid, like byproduct glycerol, and also fatty alcohol, fatty amines, methyl esters, and so on, and specialty fats that can be produced with different fatty acid and different alcohol, and for the dedicated for food and non-food applications. So as you can see from here, is the palm oil is generate almost zero waste. Every part of from oil palm has its uses. For the FFP, fresh fruit palm, the drug and the fronds can be a soils conditioners, and the FFP that sends to palm oil mills for processing to extract out the CPO. Their fiber and shells can be used as compost productions, and also energy generations in a boiler to put back to the boiler. And for the from refinery, there is a palm byproduct is called known as a palm fatty acid distillate. It can be used as a source for feedstock for oil chemical or biofuel. In the palm oil processing, we'll use a lot of water for washings. So during centrifuge. So it's also generate water like pomade. However, pomade we can use to capture the biogas, and also some as a for and the extracts we can use it as organic fertilizers. So for the end of my sharing, I would like to end with you to give you an insight. What is the global palm oil market by sectors? What is the intended applications for palm oil generally? Generally, about 60% of the palm oil will go for food and beverage industry. As you see, there is more for food and beverage, and others like 30% is go for non-food. So thank you for my presentations, and my colleague will show you what is their applications for in order for us to share about the application in food and the applications in non-food. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sylvia. for addressing this interesting palm oil topic. Now, moving on along to our next speaker, I'm pleased to give a brief introduction of Puan Amira Ahmad. Puan Amira Ahmad started a career in Sime Darby Plantation, Berhad, as an apprentice of its management apprenticeship program in year 2020. She later joined as product development executive after the one-year program completion. Amira holds a master's degree in science, chemistry, and Bachelor of Science, Chemistry from National University of Malaysia. She has developed more than 18 new products along with 10 years tenure in Innovation Center Asia unit under Product Innovation and Development. Now she is in charge of Pasir Gudang's laboratory in providing technical advisory and service to potential and existing customers, both internal and external. She is well experienced in edible oils and fats for bakery and confectionery segments, from product development to intended application. Without further delay, I'm honored to invite Puan Amira to share on the palm oil product applications. The stage is yours, Puan Amira.
Thank you, Doctor. A very good morning to all participants here. So let me share my slide first. Better to share my screen. Okay, so today the given topic is oil palm product application. So I would share relevant things about product applications, especially for palm oil. Okay, so one oil, many products. I think this can sum up oil palm or palm oil, because the production of many different products for various application from a single fruit. Okay, so we have, just to give you an idea, so we have two types of oil from oil palm tree. The first one is the crude palm oil and crude palm kernel oil. So for palm kernel oil, okay, along the way we can see the different derivatives of palm kernel oil and the application at the bottom. And then we have the crude palm oil. Again, we can have a different derivatives with a different type of different properties of the profile, and then can be used in different application. And then we have the fruit residues, also can be used in non-edible, mostly technical uses, soap and food. Okay, so today, as introduction, I will share on oil palm and how we manage our oil palm plantations in Malaysia. And then before we go further to the application of the oil palm, we need to know the modifications of oils and fats, because this is a very important to get the different properties, different profile of oils, palm oils and derivatives for the use of the different application. And then we go for the functions of fat in food and the application from palm oil and palm kernel oil. Okay, so oil palm tree, if you never see one, it looks like this. And the origin in Malaysia is from West Africa. So the nursery period is 12 to 15 months before we can plant it on the land. And we can harvest the fruits after 30 months of planting. And then the oil production is 4 to 5 tons per hectare per year. Okay. So just an overview of the oil palm fruit. Okay. And then we have the flesh, the outer layer of the palm fruit, we call it as flesh. This is where we get the crude palm oil. And then inside we have a kernel seed with shells, and inside the shell we can have we call it as kernel, and this is where we get the crude palm kernel oil. Okay. So the oil palm, the palm fruit usually undergo several processes before we can actually make it edible. So from the palm fruit in mills, it's actually processed to get the crude palm oil, and then at the refinery, we refine the palm oil for edible purpose. That same goes with the palm kernel oil. So the palm kernel seed contain actually covered with shells with in kernel crushing plant. It will be processed to get the crude palm kernel oil and then refined further for the edible purpose. Okay, this is the quality of the crude palm oil and crude palm kernel oil that actually set up by the Poram to make sure that it is suitable for the edible purposes especially. So the good quality crude palm oil must have 5% max FFA, 0.25% max moisture and impurities, and the IV value is nature to the oil, 50 to 55. For crude palm kernel oil, the free fatty acids again is 5 max, the moisture impurities is 0.5 max, and the iodine value nature to the oil is 19 max. So you can see the difference of the crude palm oil, crude palm kernel oil in terms of property, especially in IV value. Okay, for sustainability at Sime Darby Plantation Berhad. So we are guided by our sustainability charters, which monitor, verify, and report the implementation of our commitments to people, planet, and prosperity. So we have our guide to make sure that sustainability is implemented in our employees and our plantations and operations. Okay, so in Sime Darby Plantation, we have two main operations: upstream, meaning the plantation itself, and then the downstream is where we actually process the oil in bulk refinery and customized refinery to meet the needs of the customers. So Sime Darby Oils in the downstream operation is a fully owned subsidiary of Sime Darby Plantation. We are the world's largest producer of certified sustainable palm oil. We have Malaysians MSPO, RSPO, and ISPO for Indonesian plantations. And then we are supplying essential ingredients to the world's famous brands in food and non-food products. Okay, modification of oils and fats. So in their native form, most edible oils have only limited application in food products. So that's why we need to modify the oils and fats by chemically or physically in order to alter the properties. So through modification of oils and fats, we can design the targeted oils and fats that we want for the different application. Okay, so just as intro for the oil. So as you know, triglycerides, this is the building block of oils and fats. So we have the tri, meaning the fatty acids attached to the glycerol backbone. So that's why we call it triglycerides. So in oils and fats, we have saturated fatty acid, or we call it as SAFA, with no double bond. Monounsaturated fatty acids with only one double bond, MUFA. And then we have the PUFA, polyunsaturated fatty acids, 2 or more double bond. Okay, so understanding on these fatty acids actually helps in order for us to modify the oils and fats. The palm oil here. Okay, there are 4 types of modifications of oils and fats: direct blending, hydrogenation, interesterification, and fractionation. Just before we go further into the 4 types of modifications of oils and fats, so just to give you an idea how modified oils actually different. So we have a palm oil here, the black line. This is the solid fat content at different temperature, meaning the solid fat, the hard fat, the crystals in different temperature for the palm oil. This is the behavior. So we have the line, palm oil, the melting point is usually at 36 degrees Celsius. And then the other 3 fats is blended palm oil, interesterified palm oil, hydrogenated palm oil, all three actually process similar melting point at 43 degrees Celsius, but you can see the profile are different, especially for hardened or hydrogenated palm oil. It's very hard here. The solid fat content at 10 degrees Celsius is almost 90%. So this is the different profile of these fats actually suit different application. That's why modifications of oils and fats actually give a very high advantage for us. Okay, so we go first for the direct blending. So it's the simplest method of modification of oils and fats. We just mix 2 or more oil to improve and extend physical, chemical, functional properties. So we have oil A, for example, in this case, we have a liquid oil plus a solid. Solid and liquid meanings at room temperature. So different oil, 2 different oil with different fatty acids attached to the glycerol backbone. When we mix together, we can get a semi-solid product. It's just a mixing. Okay, and then we have hydrogenation. So hydrogenation is a hardening of oils and fats. Okay, this is the process where we change the liquid oil into a solid fat. So hydrogenated oil is always harder than the original oil. Okay, so what we do is we add hydrogen between the double bonds. So the reactants is hydrogen and the double bonds in the fatty acids. So it decreases the iodine value and increase the melting point. So hydrogen react with double bond of fatty acids in the presence of catalyst at 150 to 180 degrees Celsius. It can change due to the targeted product that we want. And it's convert unsaturated oils to saturated oils. So it's actually convert the PUFA and MUFA to SAFA. It can be partial or full hydrogenation. Okay, so we have the unsaturated fats as the initial oil product. And then the end product is the saturated fats as well as the transformation of the double bond fatty acids at the double bond. So it has 2 reactions occurring when we do hydrogenation. The isomerization, especially when we partial hydrogenate the oil, and the saturation. Before they go to the saturation, sometimes the isomerization reaction takes first. Okay, so this is hydrogenation. And then we have interesterification, or IE. Okay, it's a reaction that induces the rearrangement of fatty acids within and between triglycerides. So the difference is the hydrogenation process, we add hydrogen in presence of catalyst. But for the IE, we also use catalyst, especially in chemical IE, and we use enzyme in enzymatic IE. So they have 2 different routes of IE process. But what they do is actually just rearrange the fatty acids. So here we have 3 triglycerides, 3 TAG here. So with different fatty acids attached to it, when IE occurs, it rearrange themselves. For chemical IE, it's randomized, and for the enzymatic IE, we can actually design where we want the fatty acids to rearrange themselves. So just some illustration to give you an idea. So the fatty acids only change their position. Okay, so we have a different number of the different triglycerides. And fatty acid composition does not change because the fatty acid is actually still the same. They just rearrange themselves between the triglyceride. Correct? And then we have the fractionation. So why fractionation? So palm oil in nature is a semi-solid fat at room temperature. When we heat the palm oil and then we leave at room temperature, eventually they will be separated into 2 phases, liquid and like crystals a bit. So we can separate them to get different derivatives of the. So it modifies physical characteristics and improve functionality. There are several fractionation technology: dry fractionation, detergent fractionation, solvent fractionation. But the dry fractionation is the most commonly used in the palm oil industry. So it has no solvents or chemicals involved, no processing loss, fully reversible process, and low production cost. Okay. the principle of the fractionation. So we have the molten fat. We will actually heat up and melt, fully melt the palm oil, for example, to make sure the crystal memory are erased, and then we go for the crystallization process, and then with the help of a filter press, we will separate the liquid and the solid fat. So we get the liquid portion, we call it as olein, so palm olein, and then the hard fat, we call it as stearin. You can see the difference of the physical properties of it here also. Okay, so for palm oil, as the IV value is around 51 to 55, or 53, as I mentioned before, we can actually have a up to triple cut of the fractionation process. So the first cut of the fractionation process will produce the olein IV 56 to 59, and with the stearin with IV 32 to 36. So these olein still have, some crystals inside, so we can further fractionate to get soft palm mid fraction, PMF, and palm superolein with a higher IV from the original oil. So this is the hard portion, this is the liquid portion. And then for the soft PMF, again, we can actually have another fractionation process to produce hard PMF. We call it as hard PMF with IV 32 to 36 and the mid-olein. So this is the liquid portion, this is so-called the hard portion. So you can see the difference in IV. IV indicates the different properties of the oil. And then we have the stearin. We can also frac the stearin to get soft stearin and super stearin. So this is very hard fat with a lower IV. Okay, that's for palm oil. So for palm kernel oil, as the IV is not as high as in palm oil, so the usual practice is to have a single fractionation process, producing the olein part, the palm kernel olein, and the palm kernel stearin, the hard part. So functions of fat in foods. Okay, generally there are three main function of fats in food. First is for the sensory, of course, the mouthfeel and the flavor, for the pleasant of our consumption. And then we have functional, heat transfer during frying. We use oil to as a heat transfer medium to our food. Emulsion, glossy appearances. Some oils and fats actually do give a physical, different appearances, usually for glossiness. Structure, as in margarine product, for example. And then for the emulsion, structure, air, water in oil in water, like what do you call it, as yogurt or mayonnaise. Okay, they give the structure to the product. And then nutritional values. So it is an energy supplier, but with balanced fatty acid intake, and solvent for, I think all Malaysians know this, fat soluble vitamins, AD, A, D, E, K. Okay. So we come to the oil palm fruit application. So please bear with me. It's a bit messy here. Just follow my pointer here. So from the flesh of the fruit, we get the palm oil, as I said. So the fractionation process, we learned about fractionation process previously. So we get the palm stearin and palm olein. So the palm stearin is usually used as a frying oil, especially for instant noodle application, not in the for household consumption, but because it's a rather hard fat, but it is a frying oil for the industry, especially for instant noodle. Ingredient for shortening and margarine production. That's how we give the structure to the margarine and the shortening. And the palm olein, this is where we use in our home as cooking and frying oil. It is also added into evaporated creamer, usually around 10%, to replace the dairy fat there. And then we use for the spray oil for cacao production, for example, as a moisture barrier. The palm oil itself, without modification, we can use as cooking as well and frying. And then it is added in condensed milk and bakery shortening, and as bakery shortening. Okay, so we go for the pump stearin first. Go down further. When we frac again the pump stearin, we get the soft stearin and pump super stearin. So the soft stearin is usually used for ingredient for shortening production as well. And the pump super stearin with further modification is popular as an ingredient for low trans CBR production. So CBR is a cocoa butter replaces in which the application is usually in chocolate coating. Chocolate coating of wafers or nuggets. Okay. And then we go for the palm olein as it is already mentioned. When we fractionate it, we get the soft palm fraction PMF and palm superolein, the high IV. So the palm superolein is popular to be used as in confectionery and chocolate spread like Nutella. They are using this type of oil and bakeable filling for the filled biscuits, cookies. Okay, and then the palm meat fraction, as it is, we can use as confectionery filling for wafers and confectionery products. When we further fractionate, we get the hard PMF and meat olein. So the hard PMF is very popular as an ingredient for cocoa butter equivalent, the CBE, which is actually used in the preparation of the chocolate bars or praline. So some examples in our market is Kit Kat, Cadbury. They are using CBE for their chocolate products, and it contains this hard PMF. And the meat olein from the palm meat fractionation is usually used for non-edible purposes for the production of the polyol, for example. Okay, so this is modified palm oil in terms of fractionation, blending. Okay, and then we go for the hydrogenation in IE. For palm oil, when we hydrogenate, we call it as hydrogenated palm oil. Depending on the degree of the hydrogenation, as I said before, the hydrogenation process can be partial or fully. So partial hydrogenation have different applications. Fully hydrogenation product have different applications. So for the HPO, we can use as ingredient in bouillon cubes, like in Knorr and Maggi cubes for this seasoning. Then ingredient for margarine production and as well as candle. Usually for candle is fully hydrogenated palm oil. Okay, and then if we IE interesterified the palm oil, we can get the IE palm oil for which is suitable for the ingredient for shortening margarine production. So this is quite popular application. So when the palm stearin, we hydrogenate it again, it is actually have similar properties or melting behavior to the hydrogenated palm oil as well, but a bit harder. So it is suitable for bouillon cubes, ingredient for margarine and candle. And for palm olein, when we hydrogenate it, it can be used as coating and filling fat in confectionery segments usually. And for the PMF, again, for filling fat in wafers between the biscuit layers, it is popular as fat for the chocolate production. And then the hydrogenated palm superolein also suitable for the coating fat and the filling fat. Okay, now we go for palm kernel oil. So for palm kernel oil, inside this, kernel seed, so we get the palm kernel oil as it is. We can use as a soft serve ice cream mass. We can use to produce the soft serve ice cream mass. This is for the non-dairy ice cream. And then when we hydrogenate it, depending on the degree of the hydrogenation process, it can be used for confectionery coating, vegan cheese, non-dairy ice cream mass, or the ice cream body and the confectionery filling. Okay, and then for the palm kernel oil, we fractionate and then we hydro to get the hydrogenated palm kernel stearin. It can be used, it is popular to be used as a fat for the chocolate praline or bars, okay, and whipped cream. Or the palm kernel stearin as it is can be used in chewing candies and chocolate caramel. So the for if you notice, the for palm kernel oil application is always in confectionery segment. Okay, and then we have the palm kernel olein as it is. We can use as ice cream coating, spray oil, and an ingredient in margarine. Okay, when we hydrogenate the palm kernel olein, we get the, again, depends on the degree of the hydrogenation. The fully hydrogenated palm kernel olein is popular as non-dairy coffee whitener production. as in the coffee mate, if you're familiar with it. So they are using this type of oil to produce it. The the partial hydrogenated palm kernel olein can be used for the ice cream body production, and confectionery filling is usually the hydrated palm kernel olein with a melting point of 35 to 36 max. Okay, that's all from me. I hope you learned something. So if you have any questions, you can ask.
Thank you very much, Puan Amira, for addressing this interesting topic, palm oil product applications. Here is a little announcement. I would like to seek for your kind cooperation to avoid any virtual disturbance during the sections. For those who intend to ask questions to our honorable speakers, you can channel your question in the chat box. Your question will be raised in the question and answer sections later. Next, moving along to our next speaker, I'm pleased to give you a brief introduction of Ms. Darby Plantation. Ms. Darby Plantation is currently attached to Industry Biotechnology Unit R&D and focusing on exploring new products for animal nutrition and non-food derived from oil palm value chain. She has been with the company since year 2009 and had many experiences in biochemistry, enzymology, and molecular biology related projects. Previously, she was attached to the Malaysia Genome Institute as research scientist for 3 years prior joining to Sime Darby R&D Center. She holds a master and a degree in biochemistry from National University of Malaysia. Without further delay, I'm honored to invite Ms. Darby Plantation to share on her title, Sustainable Animal Feed Through Oil Palm Value Chain. The stage is yours, Ms. Tan.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Chi, for the kind introduction. So I would like to share my slides. Are you all able to see the slides?
Yes.
Okay, so I shall start now. So good morning to everyone. My name is Viek, and I thank Dr. Lee and Dr. Chi for the kind invitation to talk about sustainable animal feed through oil palm value chain. So here's the presentation outline for my presentation today. So I will talk briefly about Sime Darby Plantation's operation. Second, on the animal feed sustainability. Third, on the oil palm value chain and its potential as animal feed ingredients. And last, the conclusion. Briefly, I will talk about Sime Darby Plantation's operation, which is upstream and downstream. So I would like to say that Sime Darby Plantation, we have operations over in more than 100 countries over all the continents. So as Sime Darby, you can see that our strategy actually stresses on no deforestation, and we are exiting peat areas for all our plantations and trade on all our traceability on all our CPO products, and we uphold all the high quality on all our products. So as Sime Darby, we actually champion sustainability in our upstream and downstream and the whole process of our oil palm value chain. So we are actually guided by our sustainable charters, which we monitor, we verify, and then we report the implementation of our commitments. So the 3 charters are mainly on the Human Rights Charter, Responsible Agriculture Charter, and the Innovation and Productivity Charter. Basically, you can see that oil palm value chain can be depicted in this slide, where we have 2 main streams and divided to upstream and Sime Darby oils as downstream. Starting from the seed production on your left, we produce our own seeds right to the nursery. We manage our own estates all the way to CPO production and palm kernel oil production in mills and kernel crushing plant. In this value chain, we actually created side stream products that can be converted to wealth, such as, as mentioned by Dr. Sylvia, biogas and compost. Aside of, on right-hand side, aside of trading of CPO and bulk sales, our business also covers the production of refined palm oils to be made into food application and specialty products. And for non-food segment, we have oleochem, biodiesel, and animal feed. And the whole business are managed by Sime Darby Oils. Now, let us switch to another topic. So what do you know about animal feed sustainability? Is this a problem? Or even if this problem is real? So let us talk about what are the main animal segments as consumption in Malaysia. So we have a few segments which are broilers, which give us where we get our chicken meat, layers, where we get our eggs. For aquaculture industry, we can get our reared fish, such as tilapia and our shrimps. For ruminants, where we get our beef and milk, and for swine, where the non-Muslim get their pork. As you can see that when we look at the global market demand for animal feed, it is actually increasing over the years. With the increase of the meat demand, the animal feed production and demand also increase, especially as you can see in Asia Pacific. So the figures increase astoundingly due to the growth of many economies and the population where us humans can afford better food to be put on our plates. So let me introduce to you what are the animal feed diet composition. So the diet composition are mainly split to two. The first will be the main components, which gives the animal energy and protein source. So the main meals will be corn meal, which gives the main energy source, and soybean meal as the main protein source. So other substitution of these two main components may be as you can see, fish bone meal, wheat bran, rice bran, palm kernel expeller, and decanter cake. So the reason having this substitution is because of farmers are seeking more lower price feed ingredients. Because the cost of corn meal and soybean meal has been very, very high and keep increasing over the years. And they would like to have these alternative feed ingredients to meet same nutrition, or at least substitute some of the feed ingredients. The second components of the animal feed will be the additives and the supplements. So the additives will be added to resupply the lacking nutrition factors, as well to enhance some of the growth performance of the animals. So in this slide, we can see that the highest growth in the global animal feed additives will be still in Asia Pacific. And for example, the main additives that farmers will be putting into their feed ingredients will be mainly lysine, methionine, now very famous antioxidants, vitamins, probiotics, and feed enzymes. So now we go back to what will be the challenges in our food supply chain. So first, we can see that the increased price of raw ingredients. And to my fellow audience, I think we have lived long enough to encounter our first pandemic outbreak, which is the COVID, and the recent Russia-Ukraine war. And this resulted in very high price hike of our meat, especially poultry and eggs. If you are aware, if you go to the market or some of the smaller grocers, you can't even find trays of eggs. So the second factor will be the disease outbreak in animals. This I will stress on poultry, because the recent outbreak in poultry largely affected the broiler production, which is to supply the meat to consumers. And the second outbreak will be the African swine flu, which affected the swine industry greatly. So the third factors which affects our animal food supply chain will be the high medication cost and the vaccine cost for the animals. And due to the second factors, the farmers need to fork out very high costs, and they need to supply better supplements for their animals to keep their animals healthy. So the three main factors here largely affected the supply chain of our meat supply, not to mention the higher price of consumer have to bear. So ladies and gentlemen, that as one of the largest oil palm plantation in the world, we believe that our oil palm supply chain serves the potential to bring more value to the animal feed ingredients segment. These subsequent slides that shall bring us through some examples of oil palm value chain that can be used as these ingredients. First, it will be palm kernel expeller or palm kernel cake, as we call it. So these PKE or PKC are mainly produced in kernel crushing plant and are suitable for ruminants. So due to the high shell content, it is actually not suitable for monogastric animals. But in 2017, MPOB and jointly with Sime Darby, we have produced Puraflex, which is a refined PKE with its shell and mainly the shell and dirt removed. This Puraflex from our company is actually a very suitable substitute for wheat pellets and rice bran and to be used in monogastric animals. The second will be Decanter Cake. The Decanter Cake is produced from oil palm meal after the crude palm oil production. So it is actually very commonly used in wet form and recently in dry form. And the reason why wet form is not that good is because that is very easily infested with fungus after 24 hours, and due to the high moisture content, which is 70%. So recently, the industry has been trying to optimize that to dry the Decanter Cake lower than 10% moisture, so that it can be stored longer, and this is very suitable for ruminants as well. Ruminants, and maybe we can try it on other animals. The third will be the oil palm biomass. So the oil palm biomass can be used mainly for ruminants to substitute for tropical grasses. So why is it good is because it's sustainable, as it's available all year round. So as you can see that the fronds and trunks here that has a very considerable good NDF to be used for ruminants. The fourth will be crude palm oil. So many may not know that actually a lot of our farmers in the poultry industry, the swine industry, the aquaculture industry is actually using our CPO as a supplementary for their energy source, which is around 3 to 6%, and is being used as a source of keratin also in aquaculture and poultry business for eggs. So the fifth one will be the medium chain triglycerides. This MCT can be produced from crude palm kernel oil, and it can be used as an antimicrobial supplement in animal feed. So due to the properties of this antimicrobial, it can actually be served as health to maintain health of poultry, which is poultry and swine which are always being affected by viruses, any other disease. The sixth will be the palm fatty acid distillate. So this PFAD is actually a byproduct from our refineries, and it comprises mainly of free fatty acids, and where the palmitic and oleic acid as the major components. It can be used to produce calcium soap or bypass fat, which is very good for lactating ruminants. And number 7 will be the slush oil and palm acid oil. The slush oil are actually byproduct from oil palm mills, and the palm acid oil is a byproduct obtained from after the alkaline treatment process, refining of palm oil in the refinery. But these two oils, before we can use it on animal feed, it must be tested on heavy metals and arsenic content, so that it will not go into the animals, and we as humans is going to eat the animals. So this has to be verified first. And number 8, the phenolics. So the commonly phenolics that we can extract from oil palm includes flavonoids, tannins, or the proanthocyanidins and lignans. And these phenolics actually provide a very significant antioxidant, as well as anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial activity in animal feed. So where can we extract them from oil palm? These phenolics can be found in our fresh leaves and roots, and also can be found or extracted from Decanter Cake. The 9 will be prebiotics. Okay, this is very interesting, as the examples of prebiotics which we can produce from oil palm value chain will be because due to the content of xylene and galactomannan found in our palm press fiber and our palm kernel expeller. So the good thing about these prebiotics will be it actually promotes the probiotic growth and inside the animal, and so it indirectly enhances the gut health as well. And the next will be lecithin. So lecithin can be used as emulsifier, and it can help to improve the digestibility of the fat and fat soluble vitamins in the animal feed, and hence it can help to increase the growth in animals and as well as the weight, and to reduce the digestive disorder and strengthening the immune system and improve overall metabolism. So where can we extract them in oil palm? Interestingly, it can be extracted from our separator slush and Decanter Cake. So so what would be our take-home message for today from me? Oil palm value chain are able to provide us multiple alternatives for animal feed from the main ingredients such as the palm kernel expeller and decanter cake, and to additives and supplements, as I mentioned, in like lecithin, prebiotics, and antioxidants. So last, I would like to promote sustainable oil palm value chain, create sustainable animal feed, and we can promise sustainable food supply chain for humans. So here, I thank you. So I end my presentation with thank you to everyone.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you very
Ms. Tan.
much. Yes, thank
Yeah.
you very much. So yes, thank you very much again to our three keynote speakers for these very interesting and precious topics that reflect the real sustainable scenario of this palm oil supply chain and also the palm oil value chain in Malaysia. So although we are not able to get this physical visits to those palm oil plantations, but we already having this virtual tour, right? And be able to see the overview of this upstream oil palm plantation, the midstream as well as the downstream applications. Really thanks a lot to the speakers. So ladies and gentlemen, now we are come to this Q&A sections. And participants, again, you can channel your questions into this chat box, and whatever questions you want to ask to our three experts here, and you can ask the questions through this live mode as well. So you may raise your hand in case you want to ask in the live mode. So we have these first questions from Nisa Govenders. Okay, for a big industry such as Sime Darby, what are the critical criteria evaluated to attain the certified sustainable palm oil status? So I think our speakers, Dr. Sylvia, Ms. Tan, and also Puan Amira, you can turn on your camera so that we can have these casual discussions, right? Because we have plenty, I think we have 30 minutes to be discussed for this overall of webinar. So let's see who are interesting to answer these questions from Nisa Govender.
You can answer, right?
Yeah, Dr.
Okay.
Sylvia.
Okay, I can answer that. In order for us to obtain the ISPO certificates, so we need to have if we need to achieve it, we have to have the past few years, like we need to adopt the policy that promise that there is no deforestations. So we cannot like no deforestations mean we cannot like expand our plantations and explore a new land. And then no pit development and no explorations. So this is this is the basic requirements for any company to obtain the ISPO certificate.
I see. That's why the newly implemented genome select will be meet all this kind of criteria, is it? As you mentioned
Yes.
in your slide, genome select.
Yeah, for that because we are no longer because we are one of the active member in ISPOs, so we not going to explore or expand the new lands. So by this we can increase our years and also not to expand the new land. This is one of our initiative to address the sustainables of our palm oil industry.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sylvia. So our next questions, yeah, Dr. Puan Amira,
I
you
just
want
want
to
to add,
highlight? Yeah.
yes, the SPO also involves around the well-being of the workers in the estates. human trafficking, all this actually is actually in the RSPO guidance as well. So any breach can actually make we lost the RSPO certification. So yeah, it's actually an overall so-called like common sense in the agriculture of the as general, as well as can be specific to palm oil also.
Okay, thank you. So we go for these next questions by Sanizam Shasmi Sino from UM. I am interested in use of palm oil byproduct as the construction materials, particularly palm oil boiler clinker. May I know if the amount of clinker produced is significant to be feasible as construction materials on large scale? In other words, how much clinker is produced or disposed monthly or yearly? Thank you. Yeah, this questions
Maybe I can address that.
is about the waste material.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, our main focus is in the downstream side. However, I heard of it out of this, and then we know this comes from the burn of the empty fruit bunch for the electrical energy generation. So as far as I know, it's actually a very standard practices in all of our mill operations. But in terms of the volume disposed and whatnot, I have no data on that. So it's actually more on the upstream colleagues there. So I'm sorry we cannot like really answer your question.
Okay, but instead of the waste that is generated, right, is possible and potentials to be applied in this constructions material? Is it based on your comments maybe from the Miss Tan? Is it Miss Tan? But Miss Tan is focused on all this animal feed, right? Developments of animal feed products, right? But Puan Amira will be a much more wide range of the all kinds of products until the energies or materials.
I would say
Yep.
I'm more into like edible food product application, but I know this kind of research and technology is gaining interest in the industry, especially I think most mills are actually adopting this kind of procedures to make use of the empty fruit bunch after the sterilization of the bunch for the oil extraction. So yeah, I think we have more than 60% plant agricultural land in Malaysia is with oil palm plantation. So I think it's a highly potential to be used in the construction material on the larger scale.
I think I can chip in on this.
Okay.
For SARS question, the clinker ore is actually boiler ash, right? So about this boiler ash, what we know from the mills, after they produce, commonly they will actually sell it to those buyers for making fertilizers because it's very high in potassium. So mainly our mills will actually have them sold to fertilizers makers. But the company also been, I think, working with certain parties to develop these construction materials. So if not mistaken, but for this I'm not very sure.
Yeah, understood. Because you need a high availabilities and continuous supplies of these materials, right? If let's say used for constructions, so yeah, it's still, I mean, more research studies or feasibility studies still need to, I mean, investigated in order to confirm it is really commercial materials apply in these constructions applications, right? Okay, thank you. So we go for the next questions. Many consumers are now turning to greener alternatives when it comes to beauties and personal care products. What are the innovative and effective solutions to this demand?
Maybe I can start. And my colleague Amira can add for this. So for the greener alternative, now is not only applying to personal care and beauty, is also applying to edible food. Like what is the meaning of greener? Mean that greener there is no E numbers. E number mean that there is a green label without avoid using of the additive with the E number. So, for instance, for cosmetic, they will add in the additive, right? For example, the synthetic additive like BHA and BHT in order to extend the shelf life. So, for reasons, solutions, we can apply like, for example, tocopherol and tocotrienol to extend the shelf life. This is one of the initiative for personal care, and except that it can be also packed by also like by using the eco-friendly packagings.
Okay.
I think Amira, my colleague Amira can add more on what is the food. We also like having a lot of requests for greener, like green label food as well. We can share on this. On top of that, yeah.
Yeah, for the personal care products, I think the usage of harmful chemicals also can be avoided by using, vegetable-based products. But for the food, just to share with you, many of our customers are switching to, you know, natural antioxidants. So the most popular ones in the industry now is from rosemary extracts as antioxidants, as well as green tea to be added to the our frying oil for the home consumption in the industrial consumption as well.
Yeah. By these questions, I have one. One questions also. Maybe I can chip in because we know that a lot of these our daily products always come from they have these palm oil ingredients. But I know that people are fears of this certain of the compound within the palm oil that will cause cancers. Like those what is called MCPD, right? So can you further comment on whether is it this content if let's say we are daily consumes or the daily usage it is will at the end of the day the we will have I mean any potentials of cancers yeah, thank you. Anyone?
I think Sylvia had done some studies on biscuits, Sylvia, on this
Yeah.
MCPD and G. It's actually a hot topic in the oil palm industry now.
Yeah, and also recent study, and also they say consumptions of the high palmitic acid can also increase the spreading effect of the cancer as well. So for that, in order for as a palm oil industry researchers, or we are working in that, we would like to show you that what is actually happens. For instance, for the 3-MCBD and GE, we have done so many initiatives and by tuning our process and also by contouring our feeds of the palm oil. So we can manage to reduce the 3-MCBD and GE regulations as low as the what have been set by EPSA. So we we can produce the palm oil not exceed the limit that EPSA has set to us. This is one of the point we would like to highlight here. And second, for the like for example, for the palmitic acid can cause cancer, can increase the chance of spreading the cancer effect. Actually, we have also done the study. This is more to clinical study, and for us, we have for some we have not done the like similar clinical study to address this issue. However, maybe if you are noticed for the dairy product, like the dairy product, like milk, cheese, and so on. And even the our breast milk is also contains high as palmitic acids. So this, however, this has not been addressed in the report that shared by the Spaniel research centers. So this is one of the point that can be debated. Whether this is real that palm oil is really cause cancer to us. Yes. And back to Amira, you can add.
Maybe I can add on the MCPD and GE. I think one of the main advantage for Sime Darby Plantation, because we have our own plantations where we can control the development of the precursor of the 3-MCPD and GE, which actually form during the refining process of the crude palm oil itself. So that's one of the advantage, because we have the upstream side, so we can control from the feed, from the crude palm oil itself to the up to the process of for the edible purposes.
I see. That means Sime Darby have very strict of these regulations, like to meet the minimum requirements of those harmful compounds in the refined oil, right? Okay, thank you. So our next questions from Wong Lai Ping. What are the main source of heavy metals from palm oil and palm acid oil? Heavy metals. It's not about GE and MCPD, right? This is about heavy metals.
So this one, I can
Heavy
answer.
metals. Is there any heavy metals in the palm oil?
Very minimal, because as you know that we grow oil palm on the ground, so the ground, the soil itself will have metals contamination, as well as the water source, where the rainwater, the river water, so whatever is it will absorb by the oil palm itself and goes to the fruit. So when the fruit bunch FFB is being harvested, it goes from picked up by the machineries to the lorries. So in all those, you will be contacted with the metal bins to the mills. The conveyor belts are also made of metals. So from the pressing of the cooking, we need steam, water. The water source come from our Shabas pipeline. So from there, all the heavy metals will actually accumulate throughout the line. So it doesn't appear suddenly. So it comes from the natural environment, from the soil, from our water source, from our machineries. So all the way up to the final products, or the side stream or waste product. So all of these are all accumulated.
I see. In this case, there is any pre-treatment process to be done before the oil is ready for usage or consumed?
Yes, before, okay, for human consumption, all the CPOs will be checked. The contents of the heavy metals will all be checked. So we will ensure that it contains only the minimal and acceptable range to be used before refining and after refining.
Yeah, may I
For animal feed, from the side stream is another story.
For the edible oil, I would like to share that for the edible oil, when we release to customer, we do have annually checkings or in order to making to meet the spec for the metal content, like for example, iron, copper, we have the we can meet the minimum required. For example, like for irons, like normally is 0.5 ppm max. We can achieve lower than that. Or copper is 0.1 ppm max. We can achieve lower than that.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, another next it's not a question. I thank you for the interesting talk. Is there any possibility that I can record the talk? Yeah. For this one, we have recorded these presentations and later on it will be released in NANOCAT Facebook. So you can follow this through this NANOCAT Facebook. Okay, thank you. Okay, the next question from Muhammad Hafiz on the topics of animal feeds. How's the availability, supplies, and demand? Couldn't see it in the common feed shops in East Coast. So, Mr. You may comment on this.
Hafiz, for your information, we don't actually put our product Purifax or PKE in the shop. So normally we deal directly with customers or feed millers. So it will be more of a bulk sale. So if let's say one of the shopkeeper intended to buy our PKE or Purifax and put it in their shop to sell, it is most welcome. So in commonly that how Sime Darby perform the sales will be a direct business transaction with the customers. So we don't actually go through with appointed sole distributor dealers or something.
Okay.
So if you are interested to purchase from us, I can kindly give you the sales manager's contact number.
Yeah, I mean the same question, the questions from Hafiz as well. The international demand seems to be highly dependent on politics, local government policy. What steps have been taken or planned to be taken to address these threats? For example, like previous ban in India. Maybe Dr. Sylvia? I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Oh.
for instance, this is really we would like to say as for us as everyone's we really need to know as Malaysians, we need to know that what is the actuals of what is the real story and what is happens in the palm oil industry, and we cannot deny that some of the policy is highly depends on the politics and local governments. The previous ban in India has been lifted up, but let's see what is the reasons have been facing. Some has been facing we facing the ban from US. So what and this we cannot rely on us. We have the governments our governments Malaysia's and also MPOC and MPOB. We need to work together in order to release the bans. For example, for instance, they claim on the labor issues. So we have take the step precautions and take the step for monitoring, and also there is no child labor issue. So all of this has we need to have a channels. I think our MD or with the governments have the right channels for them to inform them what is our current practice. But for what we can do, like up to our level, is we need to educate our participants and also all the Malaysians what is actually happens in our industry. So that's why we are come up with our palm oil industry with is RSPOs. So it's not easy to have the RSPO, and all the innovative technologies have been taken out to address all the issues. Others are from BA and also Amira. You may add in.
Yeah, actually the RSPO covers all the necessary and good practices in terms of agriculture and production of the oils itself. It's just sometimes managing perception is actually harder. And you know, the challenges faced by Sime Darby Plantation as a big company is that we have many stakeholders, many smallholders, not stakeholders, smallholders, and then to implement, you know, we have the guidance and all, but the implementation always a challenge, especially for a big plantation company like us. But we know the management have taken some serious steps, especially from the recent issues with the US. So they actually getting more audits and checking and create a new channels for the workers, especially to actually give their channel their concern or worries through to the management, so that all these cruel acts and whatnot is not actually happening in Sime Darby.
Okay, thank you. I agree that the education should start from Malaysia itself. So we need to be educated to support this palm oil usage, right? And then we will spread this how good is the palm oil and to all over the seas. I mean the US ban is also recent news, is it? After the Europe has restricted about the import of palm oil for this fuels productions, right? Is it? I see. Okay, yeah, and a lot of this other than palm oil issue is kind of politic issues, right? So okay, we go to next questions also from Haflix. Related to cancer statements, there is gossips that cooking oil, including palm oil, should not be reused too many times. Is the statement true? Any layman explanations or recommendations to follow in our use of cooking oil? Yeah, means yeah, these questions I think is practical for all of us. Usually we will depends on the colors of the oil. When the oil is turned to very dark, then we will stop using it. But this one is, what about the experts here? Maybe you guys can comment a bit.
Yeah, for the frying oil, you're right. So color is actually a easiest way to know whether our oil is still good for cooking. But sometimes if you use it several times, you can see the viscosity of the oil also increase. That point, you need to know that the polymers developing, so it's not good to use it for cooking. So I think it's and then you apart from the color and the viscosity, you can actually smell the oil is off flavor. That means that you actually repeated too many times already. So for me, it depends on the type of food you are cooking. The more moisture in the food, actually it actually deteriorate the oil faster. So if you just cook French fries, maybe you can use up to 3 times. But if you cook like chicken wings or chicken thighs of chicken, so which contain more water, the oil actually deteriorate faster. So how many times to use your oil is actually not it can varies to the type of food that you are cooking with. So it just believe your senses. If it's too dark for you, if the smell is already off flavor and the viscosity is actually getting higher, then it means to actually replace the oil.
Okay. Yeah, I agree for that. Use our common sense. So I think mostly ladies will have this expertise to see whether the cooking oil still can reuse or not. Okay, so thank you very much, Puan Amira. Yeah, I think the rest is thank you. Okay, great info. Okay, also thank you from Haflix. Yeah, I have some others. Two more questions from these anonymous participants. So does Sime Darby implement these zero waste technologies in palm oil mills? So based on the practice, does these technologies really provide the feasibilities of the supply chains, environmental friendly, as well as economic sustainability in the palm oil industry? About zero waste.
BA, you can help on this, BA.
For this, right, now Sime Darby are transitioning. So we have started a few mills that we have actually derived the waste stream, the pomade stream, into and recycled it to we call it technical grade oil. Then we channel actually fully this oil to our biodiesel plant. So meaning that there is no oil wastage from our mills, and we have successfully managed to turn the waste for the side stream to wealth, which when is being channeled to biodiesel, and we actually make profit out from it. So we managed to do that, and slowly we are transitioning to all our mills. So we have been successful in a few of our mills already.
Okay, so based on the process, is it require more energy usage or kind of these emissions, those toxic gas emissions during this zero waste process? Is it feasible? That means it is feasible.
If not mistaken, that we have actually the team has actually our engineering team had actually calculated all the carbon footprint, the carbon emission calculation during the whole process, the whole mill process, from the crude palm oil production up to the pomade or the sludge to TGO. All of it we have calculated the carbon footprint. So we as Sime Darby, we champion sustainability. So all of this process has been calculated on our carbon emission, especially. So we ensure and we make sure the whole process follows through.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think I have one more last questions here. As the palm oil need to be modified to meet some specific specifications and consumers' demand. However, we know that the consumes of the trans fat will not good for health, especially increase the blood cholesterol. So can you comment about this? Does our daily food product consisted of this palm oil got a lot of trans fats? Maybe Puan Amira, right?
Yeah. Okay. So you need to understand the trans fatty acids can actually comes naturally in the oil. When we modify the oil, of course, the trans, especially for hydrogenation process, partial hydrogenation process will actually increase and form the trans fatty acids. However, fully hydrogenated palm oil contain zero trans fat. So yes, trans fat is actually harmful for our health, and I'm not recommending it. So, but nowadays you can see in the market, most of the manufacturers already, have labels of trans-free margarine, trans-free that. So you go for it, but not all as palm oil. Apart from the hydrogenation process, it can be fractionated to get the hard fat that can be used for the margarine to provide the structure to the margarine and shortening. So there's no need to actually use partial hydrogenated fat, palm oil for various application, because we have a fractionated palm oil that actually can serve the same function as the partial hydrogenated fat. So nowadays, for the conventional partial hydrogenated fats, we already have all the alternatives available for the trans-free version. So yes, you're right. Trans is harmful. So watch your sometimes you need to know what is in your food, and then most of the manufacturers, I think it's a requirement for them to actually display the trans fatty acid content in the nutritional information label. So take a look, and you will see that not all palm containing products actually contain trans fat.
Usually they will put a hydrogenated vegetable oil, right, in the ingredients.
Yes.
So
Yes.
hydrogenated also, that means it's a trans fat in this case.
It
No.
depends. If it's fully hydrogenated, then there's no trans fat. So not many ice cream manufacturers will actually display whether it's partial or fully hydrogenated. They just use the common term, the hydrogenated vegetable fats. But you can see the trans fat levels to ensure that whether it's actually contain high level of trans fat or whatnot.
Okay, thank you for this very useful information. Okay, so there's no more questions from the floor. Yep. I want to thank you again for our three speakers for these very fruitful discussions. Okay, so in case you have more questions to our speakers, you may personally email them for further discussions. And now I will pass the floor to Dr. Chi for this memento giving ceremonies. So I would like to sit our three speakers to continue to turn on your cameras during this memento giving ceremony. Okay, thank you. So Dr. Chi. Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. Let me share the screen. Can you be able to see the screen?
Yes.
Thank you to all speakers, Dr. Sylvia, Juan Amira, and Stan for the enlightening and very inspiring, informative presentations regarding palm oil from downstream to upstream. We really appreciate having this topic clarified, and your advice and your information to this area is especially useful. Yeah, audience may not know this. We get a lot of information from you, and we really appreciate that. We have a small token of our appreciations here for you. Dr. Sylvia, Amira, and Stan, please accept it with our sincere thanks. Thank you.
Dr. Chi.
Yep.
Since I see there are more participants, I'm not sure whether do we need to have one more sections of photography or we straight go for ending.
Yeah. Before we go for the photo sections, I would like to seek for your kind cooperation to fill up the feedback form provided in the chat box. Kindly fill up the feedback form so that we know if we can improve our organizing capability in regards to the event webinar. Yep. So to the all participants, kindly turn on your camera so that we can have another photo sections with the speaker. Thank you.
Dr. Chi, you need to stop share screen.
Sure, sure.
Thank you.
So say just and 1, 2, 3, and I'll take the photo. Thank you. 1, 2, 3. Yep. Thank you very much. Now we have reached to the end of the sections, and we thank you very much for your participation. And if you have further questions regarding to the topics today, we welcome the questions emailed to the speakers. Right. And totally, if there is anything for us to add.
Yeah, no, from me, again, a lot of thank you for all our three speakers here today that willing to share your thoughts with us. We gain a lot of information from these real situations in Malaysia about these palm oil activities here. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Hope to see you again. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye. Thank you so
Okay,
much,
see you
everyone.
guys again. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.